I've had the Helix Stadium XL now for a good few weeks since launch, and here are some of my initial thoughts. Hi, I'm Nick Sang. I'm a session musician, songwriter and producer. I've been really lucky in the past to work with people like Ed Sheeran, Charlie XCX, and most recently Natalie Imbruglia. For the longest time, I've been a Kemper user, pretty much around 12 years now. I've used it all the way from smelly little pub gigs to arena tours, and it has been amazing, rock solid, and delivered every time. I think I only had a couple of hiccups where it kind of rebooted about 3 times in a time of 12 years. So that's saying a lot about the quality and what a awesome, reliable unit it is. But recently, there's been quite a few new kids on the block. I kind of bypassed the whole quad cortex thing. I didn't think it offered enough for me to upgrade. But after 12 years, I feel like it's time for me to update myself. During that time when I was ready to upgrade, Line 6 announced the Helix Stadium XL. So I waited a couple of months and it came out. I pretty much pre-ordered it and got it off launch and had a good few weeks with playing around with it. I have to say, I really, really like it. I really love the touch screen. I know it's a bit divided whether some people like it or not, but with the old Kemper, I really had to kind of menu dive to tweak any sounds. When it first came out, the Kemper, it was kind of groundbreaking with the whole profiling and sound capturing. But it wasn't the easiest unit to use, but there wasn't many other options. With this touchscreen, I'm able to access different amps so quickly, just to turn off a knob. I love how it shows you the picture of what amp that I'm using and also what it's based on. So often with these modelers and profilers, they give them these funny names because they don't have the license to use the real name. So it's really helpful for me to know, especially with the amps I'm not that familiar with, what the amps are based off. I love how educational it is. For example, I never knew what the hell sag and ripple. But here it actually gives you really detailed description of how it affects your sound and what does it mean. I think Ripple was talking about the power amp circuits. I'm not too techie, but it's really informative. It adds a huge value with the knowledge that I'm learning here along with the sound. It goes without saying, it does sound really good. They got this new Agora modeling thing, and I do notice a difference, and the response, it does feel less digital, which is always a good thing and makes me enjoy playing the guitar a lot more. I love how quickly it is to audition amps. You can just scroll through and it assigns a cab which is suitable for the amp. It's a really small thing, but I don't want to be scrolling through hundreds of different cabs and not knowing which one's really suited to it. I want them, the company, to suggest to me what might sound good and I tweak from there. There's this new focus mode with the Helix Stadium. I think it's incredible. I'm using it every time I go and play. Normally, to tweak sounds, you can only operate one parameter at a time, whether you're just doing boosting treble or driving a little bit more or less. With focus mode, loads of parameters just move at the same time as you move this kind of XY screen. And you just discover so many new sounds just from a single amp. There's this whole new hype feature. I have to say, I'm all for it. It does some kind of compression and EQing, which makes it a bit more mix ready. I guess that's kind of their marketing term, but it really does. So far I've only used this Helix in the studio, and it really does help it sit in the mix a lot more. I'm not a purist in the way of I need my profiler or modeler to replicate the original amps as true as possible. I just want it to sound as good as possible on the output, and the height feature I feel helps me get there a lot quicker. On to a couple of points that I feel like they can improve on that I've come across. I've had it crashed on me a couple of times where it had to reboot, where the screen went blank but had to reboot itself. I think I was trying to program or messing around with some assigning stomps to these pedals, and it just kind of tweaked out. It is a first version of the firmware, and I imagine they'll iron that out with updates and stuff, but yeah, it makes me a bit nervous to gig the unit by itself. I am planning to gig the unit with my upcoming gigs, but as it stands right now, I think I'll need a backup. So if the first one goes down, I just unplug my jack, plug it into the second one with all the settings exactly the same, and I'm ready to go. The second downside that I've noticed, which is connected to it crashing, is the boot up time. It is quite a long time. I think it's about a minute. Like I mentioned, my Kemper went down about 3 times in the space of 12 years. My most recent Kemper was Kemper Stage, and it's pretty quick boot up time. I think the last gig that I did that went down, it was during a verse section of a song, and it went off at beginning of the verse. Luckily I didn't have to play in the verse, and when the chorus came around, it kind of started up again, so no one really noticed except for that moment by myself. I had a bit of internal panic. I got to give it to the Kemper for their boot up time, so hopefully again with firmware updates this will get better. One more improvement that I think that could be really good for this is I noticed between all the amps, the output isn't very consistent. Some amps are very loud and some amps are quite quiet, and I need to drive a bit more on my interface. I would love the amps to be a lot more consistent volume-wise across the boards, and it will just really help me focus more on the tone. Sometimes your mind tricks you into thinking the amp's quieter, therefore it doesn't sound as good. Well, that's not the case. So if they level up all the amps, that will be a lot better. I'm really looking forward to some of the features that's coming out with future updates. I know the whole showcase thing is a big selling point of this unit. A lot of the stuff that I do, which is in pop music and commercial music, I am playing along to a track, and there is click going on in my ear. Quite often there is counting, and I would love to program a track into this where on the counting 1, 2, 3, 4, I just stomp once at the beginning of the song, and for the rest of the track it just automates all the changes for me, any volume or reverb swells, and it does my stomps for me. I would love that. It would really free me up to kind of run around the stage a bit more and focus more on performing and enjoying the moment being on stage, as opposed to pedal changes, and also eliminates any mistakes that I might do with pedal changes. Recently the Quad Cortex and the Fender Tone Master has released some really awesome synth sounds or synth plugins into their modelers, and I love making a guitar sound not like a guitar. I love making a guitar sound like a synth. I hope that Helix in the future will follow suit and release some pedals that will do something similar. It can really increase the palette of sounds that you can get from this unit. I've got an upcoming tour with Natalie Imbruglia beginning of next year in Mexico, and I'm really looking forward to taking this out and putting it through its paces. For the first time ever, I'm using a dual amp setup, which I was never able to do with the Kemper, so that's really exciting to me. If it's of interest to you, I made a little video showing the rig I've built for that tour and the template that I have to build out the rest of the sets. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys may have got something of interest here or something helpful, and yeah, see you guys soon.